Alright, so I'm going to play this video here. If you are sensitive in any way, shape, or form, do not watch it. When is the last time any of us can ever say that we have seen, in the middle of a major city in America, dead bodies from a hospital being loaded into a semi-truck via forklift? Well, New York had 98 deaths in just overnight, actually. So I'm going to play this video right now, and if, like I said, you're sensitive, turn away.
Y'all, this shit is for real, y'all. This is for real. This is for real. This is Brooklyn, y'all. Family, y'all take it serious. Y'all take this thing real serious, y'all. This is for real.
They're loading dead bodies out on the street via forklift. Now, let me tell you something, and why this is a big deal. It means that their morgue and the process for their morgue and disposing of bodies and storing bodies has been compromised, which means that they are overloaded. And how do I know this? Well, part of my job, what does a morgue have to do? A morgue has to keep a certain temperature, right? I have worked in these morgues, and my colleagues have worked in these morgues. This is not the normal way of them operating. They have a back entrance with a ramp, and this is every hospital. They have a back entrance with a ramp. The morgue is going to sit down below in the back entrance, by the back entrance where all your vendors come in and things like that. They do not park a semi-truck out in front of the street and load bodies with a forklift. They don't do that. That is absurd. For them to be resorting to that means that it's pretty dire.
This is for real, y'all. This is for real. This is real. This is right here in Brooklyn. This is right at Brooklyn Hospital. Y'all, this is for real. They put the bodies in 18-wheeler, y'all. Please stay.
Like, this doesn't just recognize, remember, what am I trying to say? Like, this doesn't just resemble, there we go, every single freaking 28 days later apocalypse. It's like the movies, you know, knew what was going to happen. Of course, probably they did. They did the research, how would they react when this happens, and what would happen if hospital got overloaded. But you remember like 28 days later where the guy walks out of the hospital and there's bodies just lined up out in the courtyard, and then there's a semi-truck. Well, we've got the semi-truck. We don't have bodies in the courtyard, but I'll bet you their morgue looks like like cords of wood stacked up. I'll almost guarantee it. Horrifying moment. Dead bodies are loaded into a refrigerated truck with a forklift outside a Brooklyn hospital as nurse shares pictures of coronavirus victims lined up inside another. Jesus. Horrifying footage has emerged of dead bodies being loaded onto a refrigerated truck with a forklift outside Brooklyn Hospital in New York City, where 776 people have died from coronavirus and 33,000 have been infected. And by the way, you'll notice I am not pussyfooting around those buzzwords like death and coronavirus and things like that because, well, YouTube doesn't deserve to be our censors and our gateway of thought. They do not deserve to be the gatekeepers of the way we are able to think. The video, which was taken by a bystander from their car, shows the bodies being loaded onto a vehicle, an 18-wheeler, a semi-truck. It surfaced within hours of a nurse sharing a harrowing photograph of bodies that had been piled into a refrigerated truck to be taken away from a different hospital. There are makeshift morgues and hospitals popping up all over New York City, the epicenter of the virus in the U.S., including one in Central Park. Imagine that, a morgue in Central Park. Yeah, like this just doesn't just seem like an episode of Black Mirror or The Walking Dead minus the zombies. As of Monday morning, there are 142,000 cases of coronavirus in the U.S. and 2,500 people had died. New York City is expecting its peak in the next few weeks. Yes, they're saying next couple weeks. But it's going to get worse. Why? Because we've got the first of the month coming around the corner. People's bills like rent and things are going to come due. And a lot of people who are not working are getting to the point where, what do? Do you pay rent or do you eat? They're looking at their kids. I know. I've got neighbors that are talking about it right now. They're looking at their kids and say, well, we got to pay rent because we got to have shelter, but we got to eat as well. So what do? And it's going to compound the issue. It's going to make things worse. It's going to snowball. It's going to be a domino effect. And then what? Then we're going to have our law enforcement busy with people trying to get food any way they can. And can you fault anybody? You're sitting there and you have your wife, your husband, your daughter, your son, your kids, your mother, your grandfather, your dog, your cat, your parakeet, your ant collection, whatever, your ant colony that you got to feed, and yourself that you've got to feed, and you don't have any money. Could you, in that position, fault yourself for thinking about going to a store and looting? Because there's neighbors I know of that are thinking of that because they're at that point, because they've already paid their rent, thinking that the stimulus check would come in, they could use that for food, and at least their shelter and food would be taken care of. Sorry, the Democrats took care of that one for you. Thank you, Democrats. Lovely. Get off your damn bipartisan lines. But what's going to happen? What do we expect to happen? You get hungry people who can't afford food. What do you think is going to happen? It's human nature, and you can't fault them for it. If someone is starving, they have a starving family, or they're just starving themselves, you can't fault them for doing what they need to do to survive. This thing is just going to be a snowball effect. It's getting bad. While it is the epicenter now, experts, including the White House most authoritative voice on the subject, Dr. Anthony Fauci, says other cities will soon experience similarly distressing outbreaks. New Orleans is expected to be the next hotspot. Yeah, I used to live in New Orleans. It currently has 1,350 cases and 73 deaths, but Fauci said on Monday he was also worried about Detroit and Los Angeles. And my home state, wow, we almost doubled. It's been progressing. The deaths have remained low. Thank God. The deaths have remained very low. Man, I don't know, man. Are all these things that are going into place, are all these social distancing rules and laws and things like that, are these going to go away? I don't know. I don't think so. I think they're here to stay. I really do. But I like your guys' opinions on it. Anything and everything. Well, anything you want to say. I love you guys. You guys stay informed, and I will see you on the next one. Wash your hands.